at me, and literally after like a minute or so, I felt the kid breaking. He had like a triangle on my body, like on my back, like a seatbelt, and he's like kind of like breaking. And as soon as I saw that, I saw like blood in the water. I went after
Yeah.
him, and I actually finished him. So
So, like, underdog, like, your story needs to be heard. Like, this whole thing is about celebrating underdogs and just telling their story.
Underrated, we the underdogs, underestimated, yeah. Underrated, we the underdogs, underestimated, we the ones, yeah, we the ones, yeah, we the ones, we the ones.
What's your definition of toughness?
God, toughness. It's weird for me because of fighting. Like toughness for me, I was like, I feel like I want to break you before you break me, type of deal. I always have that in my mentality. Like, kind of helps me a lot. Like, I was like, you might be stronger than me, you might be more talented than me, you might be like, whatever it is for me. I always look at it like, you're a human. I know you can break, and I like kind of like know the breakness for me. But the toughness for me, it's like what do you overcome in a situation, and then like still staying at it, like not losing like just like so much focus and all that stuff. For me, that's how I kind of look at it.
Literally
And
mental
fighting wise,
toughness.
yeah, like for me, that's my toughness. I'm like, and you can ask all my friends and
Right.
all my teammates. I'm like, I see somebody that's good, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna break you. I keep messing with them a little bit. I was like, yeah, I was like, that's always like, as my coach, I always say too, like, okay, use your superpower, and that's like, I feel like that's where my toughness comes from, because I was like, you're not gonna break me. I was like, it's gonna take a long road to break me. So
Yeah.
that's like my toughness for me.
So I want to dig deeper, but before that, I have a fun question that I want to know. So have you ever done a promotional like press conference
No, no,
thing?
not yet.
Oh, you haven't
Not
done that?
yet, not yet.
So like if you like so when you do it, you know what I mean? Like do you think or even like if you've never had like the meet and greet or like the thing where you're like face to face or in the same place with your opponent before a fight?
I mean, just the weigh-ins. That's it.
Okay, so it's the weigh-ins, cause like you try to intimidate, right? In the
Yeah, they
weigh-in?
try. I was like, I look at them and was like, okay.
So let me ask you this: like when you're doing those weigh-ins, like can you tell like if that person, you know what I'm saying, like okay, like they with it, they want to smoke, or like can you tell right then and there, like
Oh yeah.
oh yeah, like
My last
he ain't built
opponent.
like that.
My last opponent actually.
Okay.
Because it was his first UFC fight.
Right.
And I can see in his eyes, like he was so nervous and so like, wow, like this is crazy, like this is a whole new world. And I was like, and I kind of like told him too, I kind of like messed with him a little bit.
Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
what I wanted to know.
I was like at the face off, I walked and I was like,
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, the face-off.
yeah,
deal,
and I walked up to him and I was like face to face. And I looked at him and I was like, you better be ready to have some fun tomorrow. And then he was
Right.
like, oh, let's go. And then he squeezed my hand and he squeezed it so hard and I was like, yes, good.
Yeah.
I was like, that's what I want.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. You as a UFC fighter, what's the like worst L, the worst defeat, the most deflating moment for you in a fight, and how'd you overcome that?
I don't want to say worst because I don't like fighting is fighting. Like
sure.
there's always good moments, bad moments. I don't want the worst is like you get knocked out and like
Yeah.
submitted and it never happened to me. So I
Okay.
was like I want to say worst. The bad was I actually flew to Abu Dhabi. This is during COVID because the UFC was
Yeah.
I don't know how they kind of got the fights still going, and I flew, and I was at three winning streak from the in the UFC, like, boom, right back to back, and then, excuse me, they got me flying to Abu Dhabi, and then they switched my opponent on me, and then they give me this kid named Ilya Taporia, and he's like undefeated, all this stuff, but and then they had us like in the main card, like everything, like like he was the big dream, like the hype and all this going up, right? And unfortunately, I lost that fight decision. But afterward, they see like what they told me after was like the kid never seen a third round before, and I broke him in the third round. Like, literally broke him down and all that stuff. So, but for me, it was like kind of like that was the bad about it. For me, I was like, because I came back and I was like, wow, like I put in all this work for this opportunity. Even though the last 3 fights I did, same thing, but it was like, this is the one that kind of like mattered to me, and then kind of like went away, you know? So it's kind of like, that was the hard one. I'd say that's the bad one. For me to overcome that, it's kind of like, I still messed up when it comes to overcoming it because I kind of like didn't like go at the problem right away. I kind of like let it slide. And then that's when kind of like you got a little, how you say it, like plateau, if you know what I mean. That's when an athlete gets in, like he's not growing at all. Like he's just kind of keeping it the same. That was my like 2 fights after that. That's what it was. I was just
kind of almost like a hangover.
Yeah, I was literally on a loose string, not a strong, you know, like a spider web. I was just like, I'm just getting started. I don't have my full web, you know, and the 2 fights after that kind of went downhill, and then after that they were like, oh, I had to really sit down and really kind of like, wow, hold on. Like, I got to figure this out. Like, I got to get this going. And, like, get my web back together. Because my web was, like, destroyed. I was like, you know, your confidence is gone. When you lose 3 times in a row, you're mentally in a different place. Like, different place. And I mean different place. Like, you're fighting yourself. Like, it's not even anybody else. It's just yourself. You're like, wow.
How long were you in that place?
A year.
At what point did you know? I would imagine, you know, just going on my athletic experience, obviously nowhere near yours, but there's a time, like there's a place where you're in that place and you don't recognize it, then you recognize it. How long did it take you to even recognize that you were in that place?
3 losses.
Yeah.
After 3 losses, I realized that. The crazy part, and this will be crazy to say, I'm working harder right now, or I'd say the last few weeks or last few months of my career. Not even, because the last fight I fought, and I trained for 13 months for that fight.
Yeah, I want to talk about that.
So I want to say the last year and a half, I'm working a lot harder than I was 2 years ago.
Yeah. Which
is crazy to say, you know, but.
What was it that, like we really need this, you know, like I said, who better to talk about an underdog fight than a fighter? So, man, just if you don't mind opening up and just what was it that allowed you to finally dig out of that dark place, you know, that athletic depression or whatever you want to call it?
Well, there's a couple things, you know. You got your closest one, which is for me is my wife. That's one, and 2, it's like you kind of like. You know, when you get to a time, you got like become a lot more mature, and then you go over your ego. You know, that's the biggest thing. Like, for me, I felt like I had like an ego a little bit, and I was like, I am good. I'll fight anytime. Like, I was fighting every time. Like, you give me a fight, yes. But other athletes, no, they're like, hold on, well, I don't need to rush it. Like, you know, I'm young. You know, so like kind of like young mentality. You know. Call it young and dumb, I guess, right? Whatever, you know. But that was kind of like the biggest one. It's me and over my ego and what I'm doing with my career. What am I actually doing with this? Because I looked at it and I sat down, like talking to my wife and seeing my wife like working her butt off, and like kind of me like kind of sitting on the back, and I'm like, what? Like I've been slacking a little bit, huh? I was like kind of like talking to myself. I'm like. You know, you have all the talent in the world, you have all the people behind you and all this stuff, but you're the one that's making the decision, not them. You're the one. So after realizing that and like kind of like understanding that and like going over the feeling of, okay, I'm happy what I went over and kind of went over my ego and then kind of like understand that part first.
That's good, bro.
And then go back to my life. That was very.
That's when it starts changing. It's funny how that works.
Yeah.
And I think that if we're all honest with ourselves, you know, like But
honesty is a big thing,
yeah,
especially with yourself.
The worst person to lie to is yourself.
100%.
You have to look yourself in
and
the
I
mirror.
did lie to myself a lot of times.
For sure. And I think that like just having the right people, you know,
Yes.
like having the right people that have, you know, basically has the courage enough to like tell you and call you out, you know, that's so important. I think it's so important of who you select to be in your inner circle before
100%.
success, before failure. You know,
100%.
like those people that can look past your success and tell you, hey, here's your blind spots. Like, I know you winning, but here's your blind spots, you know, and just those people that also can look past the L's and the failure and let you know, remind you of who the F you are when the whole world turns their back. I want to ask you this about when you were fighting and you got prepared for this fight, then all of a sudden you have a different opponent. Because you talk about the mental focus that you have to be a fighter.
Yeah.
Like a UFC fighter. And we can take that in our fight with life, but like, how do you, like, I couldn't imagine what that would be like. I couldn't imagine as a basketball, you know, I coached at Iowa State a few years ago. I couldn't imagine spending, you know, all week watching film on Kansas and doing all this.
And then they switch it.
And then the day of the game, they say, hey, instead you're going to play North Carolina. How do you mentally stay focused? How do you handle that? How do you take that and just take it on the chin and go out there and perform?
So there's a couple of things. The one is your coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Your coaches is a big, because if you have the right coach to know how to talk to you and understand you right, because what's the first thing that's going to happen is freak out.
Yeah.
Right? Which is
Yeah.
normal. Like, you are going to freak out. Like, what? I trained 7 weeks for this guy and then you give me this guy? Like, you know what it is? But the coach mentality was always like, okay, we're ready for whoever. We don't care. That's one, right? And obviously, that one will only go to a certain point. When you get to the higher level, you do need to focus on who you're fighting. Like, you do. Because you'll trust your skills and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, like, you still need to do that. And two, it's like the confidence in yourself. That's the biggest thing. It's like, that's where you kind of break you'll find the good fighters and the great fighters and then the elite fighters. That's how Coach has it. He was like, I don't want to be good. And I don't want to be great. I want to be elite. And that's like kind of the mentality and the motto that he has, that he wants us to do, right? But so for us to kind of have that like Superman mentality, because we're, especially if it's on the week notice, you're cutting weight. So you're like very like, I don't know, like your testosterone are high, I guess.
Right.
I don't know how even I say it. Like, so like you're very at the point like
Just
you don't
on the
care.
edge, yeah.
You don't care. Like, just find me a fight, right? But sometimes again, like sometimes it's like you're like, oh no, I don't want to take this, and like doubt start coming in. That's when stuff gets bad, right? Like when doubt and all this stuff coming in. But to stay focused, to be honest, it's like that was the hardest part, is to find the shift from going basically from soft to hard, literally, because you have to be like on a warrior mentality and all that stuff. So, but I'd say the biggest part is the coaches, and then it comes to you.
So then it goes, like, so again, that theme of the people you have around you. But you talked about doubt. I think that's huge. What do you do? Like, and I respect you, and I'm so appreciative of you having the courage to talk about doubt instead of, I'm tough. How do you deal with your doubt?
Oh God, there's a lot of doubt. You know, a lot of fights I went into, and I'm like, oh man, I'm doubting myself, and then sometimes actually it was too late, and most of the times for me it's too late.
Okay.
Because I go in and I doubt myself, like the first round, second round, and then I come in the third round, I'm like, oh wow, this is like not, and I actually do great than I thought, you know. But that's like the biggest thing. What I recognized, at least for me, was the worst thing can happen. You know it can happen. You know, you have your reasons.
For sure.
It's like okay, I have my goals, how to achieve my goals, how to like get to my goals, right? Whatever it is, right? For us in fighting, you have three things: you can get knocked out, you can get submitted, or you can get TKO'd. That's it.
Right.
If you can get comfortable understanding those three reasons, and understanding your brain to go, okay, like if I lose, I lose. But at least I'm going out on my shield.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
if I lose, this is going to happen. And then you start looking at the other side. You need to get comfortable with. It's like, okay, what happens if I lose? What does the people think? What is this, and that? So kind of like when you get comfortable with those two sides, it does not matter. Like the doubt is gonna be there.
Yeah.
It's not gonna go away.
Yeah.
Literally, it's not gonna go away.
Yeah, it's almost like accepting. Like I think that you take the pressure off yourself when you acknowledge and like the reality of taking an L, and it sounds like what you're saying.
Yeah, 100%.
But again, it goes back to like that Nick Saban process. Like, what's my process? Sometimes you can't control the finished product.
No.
It might just be that night or whatever. He might have your number.
You might show up to a fight and sick or something.
It's like I told this athlete that I mentor. I said, he asked me, man, do you think I'm going to get this scholarship? I said, bro, I don't know. I don't know, but here's what I do know. I know that if you look back and you turn on the TV a year from now, and all the people that you're training with, they're doing, they're on TV playing, and you're not, and you got to look at yourself in the mirror, and it's going to be because you allowed doubt to discourage you to the point where you didn't have hope, where you didn't believe. I promise you won't be able to live with yourself.
No.
But if you put everything you have into it and go as hard as you can, and it doesn't work, while it may not feel good, there'll be a peace of mind. And that's all and sometimes that's all you can control.
And that's what I learned from fighting. Because I go into some fights and I won, and I'm like, I did not give it all.
For sure.
I know I didn't give it all. And then when I lose, the same thing. I was like, some fights I felt like I didn't give it all, and then go lie to myself, and then sit down on it and be like, oh yeah, like I actually did good. Like, no, like realize when you're like, okay, no, I messed up. Like, that was not everything I got.
Yeah.
And like, I am not happy with that. That's not like the satisfaction I want.
Right.
Like I said, if you beat me, you have to beat me. That's like the mentality, kind of like go in and like understanding that, like really getting familiar with the feeling like, what's the worst thing's gonna happen? You're gonna lose. So many fucking people lose in their life, like so many.
Right.
There's so many opportunities they lose. There's people that even they don't even have the opportunities that I have. There's a lot of people that don't have the things that I have. Like I have a fucking house. Like, come on now. Like a lot of people don't even have that. I was like, for
every
me,
winner's lost.
Yeah, and I'm like, if I really want to focus on the winning, cool. Yeah, you won. Like whatever. But it's like, at the end of the day, it's like you realize, like, loss is a loss. Who cares?
Well, to me, like, again, going back, there's power in definition. Like, you have to define for yourself what a winner means to you.
Yes.
To me, what a winner means is like, one, I'll be able to look at myself in the mirror no matter what. I gave my all, and beforehand, I went in there applying maximum pressure. I did everything. And just like life has told me, I've lived a little bit more life than you, but life has shown me that, like, when you do that, something good is going to happen.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like when I coached in college, when I was at Iowa State, it didn't necessarily go well as I thought. But at the end of the day, I put everything I had into it every day. And you know what came out of it? I wrote a book. I didn't know I was going to write a book.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it's just crazy how life works. So I think defining, and don't let because if you allow winning to be defined by, what you're rated or what Twitter says or even the points on the scoreboard, like you're selling yourself short
100%.
Or you're setting yourself up for failure.
100%.
So
it's like you said, like you can't look at the end results, right? It's like a lot of people now, they like even like I've seen it so much, especially in social media now these days. They're like, oh my God, you lost, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, in the end of the day, I was like, I kind of looked at it and like really sat down. I'm like, I'm happy with my life where I'm at and where I'm achieving and what I'm doing with my life. Like this all matters to me. Like I really don't care less about what other people say. I have small group that if they text me anything that I need to change or really need to focus on, I would listen to them. 100%.
That's so important.
Yeah, 100%.
Like another theme of this, and this is like this is so cool, man. Just being blessed to for you guys. When I say you guys are guests, and just seeing, but there's a commonality. One of them is talking about that team.
Yeah.
The way I explain it to Monte Morris when we were talking is like you have to be your own general manager. Where general manager is in charge of putting the team together. Like there's no Golden State championship, there's no Tampa Bay championship or an NFL without the general manager. You have to be the general manager of your team, and just you have to have a high standard. I'm a championship person, so I got to put championship people.
100%.
This person can't do it. This person's a franchise player. This person is somebody that I can and even like they might not have a close role. Like this person I can go hang out with, have a beer and watch the game with.
But he's not close.
But he's not somebody that's in that circle.
I have those, yes.
You have to understand
100%
that.
And
that's so important because, like, especially if you're going to, like, climb that underdog journey and get to the top, because when you get to the top, everybody's going to want to be there.
Oh, 100%.
And then, but then when dark times hit, like when you hit that 3-fight losing streak.
Oh, your phone went from
this it's dry.
To this.
But you got to know who you can lean on.
Oh, I know. That's the only people that text me. That's the people I know. Yeah. And like I know every time, no matter what, they'll do it because we all have those friends that be like, "Man, you're gonna do great. Like keep it up." I'm like, "You're my friend. You're not. You're not in the. There's a difference between friends and family. Like this is. I know like." When you get to that point, like you said, the general manager, and like the people that you have, and like you trust with everything, you trust with your life, you trust with that. That's like when your life becomes a lot like less stressful.
The way I say it, being your best self is a team sport. You got to have the right teammates to help 100%. You be your best self. 100%. We'll stop and get that last segment.
If you're not giving all you got, it's not good enough. Because for you guys to get to where you want to go, it's going to take everything you got in every rep. You can't throw reps away.
Hey, what's going on, man? Quick bathroom break. But while we're at it, man, make sure if you're in Colorado, you tap in with the Holiday Hoops Camps. Yes, sir, my Holiday Hoops Camps are back. We got an invite-only camp December the 21st through the 23rd for advanced boys and advanced girls, 2 different sessions in Aurora. And then we traveling up to North Glen. We got 2 sessions December 27th through the 29th. We got a youth skills camp 3rd to 6th grade and an advanced camp 6th to 9th grade. Let's go. Tap in NickGroundPlayerDevelopment.com.
All right, so there are like 2 fights we talked kind of in our little pre-production meeting. You talked about that I think are really worth exploring. One, you told me about the fight that you didn't know you were gonna fight.
Yeah.
Right. Let's talk about that. That was so dope.
Yeah, of course. So I fought my pro debut, just turned professional. Right. That's when I kind of like started getting into the sport a lot more. You actually getting paid. You're doing your thing, right? So I fought, and I used to take the train to the gym, and I would stay at the gym, or sometimes I would go to the gym and ride with coach. He'll go to strength and conditioning because I already did it in the morning at 6 a.m. But I'll just drive with him because I didn't have no car nor nothing, and then I used it he get me lunch. Because I had no food. Right. I was like, so sometimes he would say, let's go with me. So I'll just go with him, and he get me lunch and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool, right? Yeah. So I would stay at the gym, and then again, we had like 7 guys or 6 guys fighting on the card. And then I was not fighting. I just fought like 2 weeks ago or something like that. And I had coach's phone. He's like, hold on to my phone while I work out. Because the guys are cutting weight. Obviously, if you know anything about fighting, the weight cut is the hardest part, especially when we cut weight. And I get a call from his phone that says, hey, this fighter fell in the sauna and hit his head, and he's passed out.
Yeah.
So coach automatically, like, he can't fight. Like, he's not fighting. Like, no way. So the kid is already devastated and all that stuff. And then his manager was training with my coach. And he looked at coach and looked at me. And both of them just like literally locked eyes on me. And I'm like, no. No, you want me to jump in? I was like, what?
And and how much time?
That was the day of the weigh-in.
Like, so how many hours between the
So
fight?
I had 2 hours. So they looked at me. And I was like, and when you felt like the bitch came out of me, I want to say, I was like, no. I was like, hell no, I'm not taking this. And then out of nowhere, I was like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to do it. Yeah. So we went in, and I had to cut weight because I was 162. And I had to cut down all the way to 155.
In 2 hours?
In 2 hours. But we were so rushed because we had to go make weight so quick. So I had to go to the gym, and these guys put me in a sauna suit, and we're driving the car for an hour with the heater on. So I showed up, and I was 152.
Oh, wow.
like dropped like 10 pounds.
That's wild.
Like crazy.
And what happened in the fight?
Oh, I make the weight, and then I walked in, and I was like, "Where's that opponent? Where's the opponent you guys talking about?" And I looked at the opponent, and he was so big. I was like, "Oh my God, what did I sign up for?"
Right.
And you know what? I was like, because the money, my pro debut, I made more money than this fight. But I was like, "Oh man!" And again, coach came up to me. He's like saying, "You don't have to take this. You don't have to take this." I was like, "No, I already made the choice."
Yeah.
And then I woke up the next day, and we were fight day. And he had me like gave me that speech like one of the best motivational speaks I heard, for me at least, to me, like to understand me. Like he woke, like I felt like a Superman when I woke up, because after he talked to me, I was ready. I go into the fight, first 7 seconds, boom, I get rocked. I'm like,
knocked out.
Oh man, no, not even knocked out. I just get rocked.
Yeah.
Like. So like my legs didn't give out nothing. Just
Yeah.
my brain was I call it, what I tell people is like, if you ever played Call of Duty or anything, it's like throwing a flash grenade.
Yeah.
And then like 5 seconds back, and then my brain came back, and I was like, what? And he's already on my back.
Yeah.
I was like, what? I'm like autopilot. I'm just on autopilot mode. Then I was like defending, but all I can remember was like. I was in the flow state. I don't even remember. Like all I remember is looking at the coaches, and then because I was trying to go down, and they're like, no, stay up, stay up, and yelling at me. And literally, after like a minute or so, I felt the kid breaking. He had like a triangle on my body, like on my back, like a seatbelt, and he's like kind of like breaking. And as soon as I saw that, I saw like blood in the water. I went after him. And I actually finished him. So
Yeah, you won.
yeah, I won that fight.
So like bro, that's just powerful when you talk about just like inspiration for
I was
an
like,
underdog. One, like this friend of mine, his dad, like is one of them old school coaches, just always just OG wisdom. He's like, I got a knock joke for you. He's like, knock, who's there? Opportunity, hold on, I got to put my shoes on. Come back to the door looking for opportunity is gone. Moral of the story is like you don't know when opportunity's gonna knock on your door, but you better be ready.
oh, 100%.
And so to me, that's what that story is literally. Like being prepared. You never know when your fight is gonna come. You never know when it's gonna come, but are you prepared when it comes? If it just comes out of nowhere, which is a powerful story.
Yeah.
The other part of that is like if you are going to make this underdog climb, you're gonna get knocked out. And how do you respond when you get knocked out? You know what I mean? And you told me, I think when we talked about this, you told me that like, man, like I knew that like basically if I could just withstand that first fury, like I was gonna break them.
Oh yeah, 100%. And then the coach is kind of like was on that too, and I kind of like felt it. And like I'm always like the skinny guy, the not strong guy,
Right.
but like I always knew I had one thing in my back pocket, which is like the toughness and just going. Not like I will, like you might beat me this and that, but I come back. I don't just stay.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like when I saw the guy, I was like, all I had to do was kind of like see that first storm that's coming. And coach has a good thing. What he had us actually, he gave us a coin that has buffalo on the back. And buffaloes, when they see a storm, they go through the storm. They don't run away from the storm.
Yes, sir.
So the other animals will run away from the storm.
You built different.
Storms will just run. Buffaloes will run through the storm, and then they survive. And they're like, oh, we don't have to go for days running away from the storm. Instead, we can just go through it.
For sure. And it's just like this. Like I think that like the takeaway for an underdog is like a UFC fighter, right? If you can't handle getting knocked down, if you can't handle somebody knocking you out, then you might as well not sign up for this, bro, because it's going to happen.
100%.
So it's the same thing on this climb. Like you're going to get hit. You're going to get hit with everything in the world, everything your haters, everything your odds, everything.
100%.
And if you can't handle that, and if you're lying to yourself thinking that hit ain't coming, sometimes multiple times, then like this race ain't for you.
100%. You always got to assume, not even assume, like prepare for potentially can happen, right? Because like you said, if the opportunity comes in, at least I'm prepared. I go on my shield. It's not like I'm going out not prepared, which is one of the worst things you can do, right? It's like when I tell my coach, hey, I'm ready for a fight, I have to prepare and get ready for a fight. I can't just tell him, hey, I want to fight, and just go fight not prepared. Because one, I'm putting myself to shame, and then putting my close circle to shame, you know? And I can't do that to them, at least. That's what I feel like for me. So that's how I look at it. I look at it as like, hey, man, like if you really want to do something big, then you think, like, you have to be prepared.
You got to be prepared for the fight.
You can't have a business without being prepared.
This is going to be a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then pivoting from that to the other aspect, you told me the toughest thing that you've had to endure was, one, there's a fight that you don't know when it's going to come, and then on the other side of it, there was a fight that you expected to come, and it was 13 months, right?
13 months, yeah.
And you told me, like how hard was that to, like, get up every day and fight and prepare like your fight's coming tomorrow, and then 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, 13 months pass? Like, how were you able, because that's what happens a lot of times, right? That opportunity is delayed, and it's like sometimes, can you dominate those days when your opportunity seems like it's not going to come?
And that's like kind of like how kind of looked at it, because it was like an emotional roller coaster, you know? I go to my highest highs, my lows, and the challenges that came through that 13 months, it's insane, right? And it put so much stress not in just fighting, in my relationship too, because you have your spouse that looking at you and they're like, hey, you're not fighting, what's going on, and all this stuff. And it's like I became the person, like, God, like, all I'm focused on is just this and that. But again, I look at it in the good side as well. I'm like, hey, I'm doing training and going to my job and doing what I do love on my worst days. Not even on my good days. Not even on my great days.
That's good.
You know what I mean? So if I can do that, I know I can capable of a lot of things. And my biggest thing was patience. That was the big word that we chose, for me at least. But it was patience. Because I'm like, I always wanted to do this, like right away. I'm like, fast. Like, instead, like, really get prepared. Let the opportunity come to you. You don't have to rush it and want to just be like, hey, I want this, I want the result, I want this. No, you don't. It's kind of, that's where the roller coaster went all over the place. And I want to say it was one of the hardest things I've done, to be honest. But it was the most grateful thing I did for me personally and my career.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. No, I love that. Yeah.
So I loved every moment of it, even on the worst days and the hard days, because I was the best shape of my life too. And I was the best focus of my life. I was the best everything in my life. So,
man, that's so good, bro, because, so many of us, like, there's going to be a period of time where your blessing, whatever you want to call it, your opportunity is going to be delayed.
100%.
And it's what you do in that waiting time, and that's hard. And I think even that, I think that's a good question, as I should say, is I'm sure those good people in your life, that circle, like, what role did they play in keeping you encouraged and keeping you focused? And do you think if they weren't in your life that you would have been able to get to the other side and been prepared, or do you think you wouldn't have been?
I don't, probably not, to be honest. I would probably not. But the coach, I love my coaches, man. Like, they always keep positive and, like, staying positive and like, kind of like keep it real too,
Yeah, like not fake positive.
Yeah, like not fake, like they're like real. Like, hey, like, I know you're going through a hard time right now. Like, let me know if you want to talk or anything like that. That's one. And two, it's like they push you to the limit. Like, they test you, like, even life is testing you. Sometimes they test you too, and then be like, hey, like, this is gonna happen. Like, we're prepared for this. And coach always kept telling me, he was like, no matter what, if they come at us this month, next month, we're prepared. And that's what he always kept saying, and that always stuck with my head. Like, just stay prepared. Just stay prepared. Because when the opportunity comes and you're not ready, you'll regret it. And then actually, coach sent us a cool, every week we do like a little thing about for the theme for the week. And it was, a couple weeks ago, it was pain of discipline. He said, discipline weighs in ounces, and regrets weighs in pounds. So it's like, if I don't want to be ever to go in my life and say I regret this or I regretted that. So I never want to do that.
Yeah, perfect. Oh, okay, man. Bro, I just really appreciate you. I think that I wanted to save the most impactful part of this for last. And you talked about your family. You're a big time family guy, and obviously, the life altering moment was your brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like I shouldn't. I don't. That's you, and one, I appreciate you. I applaud you for your courage, ability to open up. So let's tell us about your brother, and kind of what happened, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, man. So growing up with my brothers, we're always like close. Like, I'll fight for you. I'll whatever it is. This is my brothers. This is my family. Me and my brother. My brothers. So my oldest brother came to the United States a year ahead of us, because he was in like just hanging out with the wrong people. And my family was like, we're done. Like, you're leaving. So he went with my dad, and then it was me, my mom, my sister, and my brother who passed away. And we came to visit them after like a year. We came to visit them, and that's when my mom was like, hey, I think you guys should stay here for your future. So it was me, my brother, my older brother, and then my dad. So three boys, and our dad, just again sleeping in he had a couch, not a couch, 3 beds, no frame, no nothing, just 3 beds he had a 1-bedroom apartment, and we were staying in there, 3 of us, and every day we'll go to school, leave, go to school, leave, go to school, leave. That's it, right? And then I always tell people, our biggest thing was like, for first time ever, we actually had a good dinner, and I tell people to this, and they laugh all the time. It was Golden Corral was our like specialty.
Don't sleep on Golden Corral, bro.
I was like, that was us going to a nice dinner, like. You know what I mean? I'm like my dad, like, he drives a little $600 Kia that we have to wake up every morning to go get out of the snow when it snowed so bad. And so me and my brother, my older brother went to school, but him and my brother who passed away went to the same school. But my brother decided to come with me and the school that I went to. And then we basically graduated, but after graduation, again, like I told you guys, I didn't do nothing, but he had a bunch of friends that he go hang out, party with, and all that stuff. We call him the pretty boy of the family. Like, he was the one who's playing all the ladies, and he was so good at soccer too, like amazing soccer player. So always just like kind of like we always just go work for whatever, like, we can find work that pays us cash, so we can go work and find like whatever we can, because it's the only thing we can do, and save some money, And so years pass by, and that's literally what we're doing. That's it, like nothing else. Like, that's what like breaks my heart for me to see that my brother could have a lot better future than he thinks, right? I feel like I was believing him more than he believed himself, I would say, right? So it's kind of like hanging out with the wrong friends, whatever. One night he comes in, his friend, he told me to keep the door open, so I kept the door open because my dad's sleeping upstairs, and then we were staying in the basement. So I kept the door open, and all I remember, his friend come downstairs running, waking me up. Youssef, wake up. I'm like, what? He's like, upstairs, your brother. And I was like, what do you mean? So I go upstairs, and he's running, and I'm running. I had just pants and no shoes, no nothing. I'm like, what's going on? And all I see was a body laying down 50 yards away from the house. I was like, what? So to get to my dad's house, you have to make a U-turn to get to my dad's house. So he made the U-turn too fast, and he was on alcohol, and then rolled the car. His girlfriend had a seatbelt. He didn't. Went through the windshield, hit his head, obviously died. And that was one of the most difficult moments of my life to witness that.
Yeah, because you saw.
Because I just woke up and I just saw that, and I was the first one to see that out of my family, and to see my family's reaction after what they saw, and I'm like, God, man, I was like 17 or something like that. So for me, it was like, I was shocked. Like, you literally just shocked me, and I was gone. Like, I was in a different universe. Like, it was so bad that I was like, what's going on? Like, tell me this is a lie. Like, what's going on, you know? And, yeah, that was the hardest moment of my life. When I say when it's the saddest, the deepest, the darkest, you name it. I can use so many words for this, you know? But I went to the point in my life that I wanted to take my life away because I'm like, I don't have a brother anymore. Like, he's gone. My mom hasn't seen her son for 10 years, and he died, and she can't even see him. So I was at that point, like, just sad, depressed. It's like, to think about it, like, the only thing that I would love to see, it's his future. I know he had so much in his potential and all that. Like, that's what hurts for the most for me. And like, for me to realize, sometimes I kind of like slack on that. I'm like, that's my motivation. That's my just life, you know. Even though, like, I tell a lot of guys, like, we were not like as close as like you think. Like, we take pictures and like that. No, we just knew we're family.
Yeah.
We're just close.
And I would imagine, like, it's like the closeness is different when you and your family move to a different country.
100%.
You know,
like,
from a
this
different
whole
country,
thing you had, you know,
Yeah.
it's like we'll make fun, we'll just hang out, like, having fun. Like, we don't talk as much as you think. Like, but if you go in a fight or anything, I got your back. When you go through a hard time, I got your back, no matter what. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
So that was very hard.
For sure, I can imagine. You talk about, and again, I can't thank you enough for opening up about that. You know, but with the depression that led to wanting to take your own life, you know, how long were you in that space where you were contemplating suicide? How close did you come? And then what were some of the tools and ingredients that allowed you to be able to get out of that place into this healthy space that you're in today?
So me trying to commit suicide was the same day. Same day. Like, all I saw was, like, I was a kid. I thought it was like, just take as much as pills as you can. Maybe that will do it. I just didn't do it, I guess. Like, people, because all his friends and everybody just came, when they came to the house, they went downstairs and stayed with us and trying to make it, like, you know, make it as not hard as they can, you know, because I was a kid. And I want to say 6 months.
Okay.
It was deep.
Yeah.
I was depressed. I will sleep till 2 p.m. Wake up, go train, come back, do the same thing again. Like, that's how depressed my life was. And to the point that I got to, like, didn't care about my life. Didn't know what to do with my life. I was just a body.
Yeah.
To be honest, not even a brain, just a body. I was just a body, and like, just being there, you know. So 6 months go by, and I meet my wife, which is my wife. Met Kat, she's my wife now. But I met her because Austin, my teammate, was like, "Hey, you want to come to my sister's birthday party? She's going to this bar." I was 20 years old, so they can get me in. But I don't drink. I don't drink to this day. I never drank in my life. I have funny.
Does that have a lot to do with it?
Yes.
Okay.
The reasons why I don't drink, that it's all because of my brother. I know my religion says you don't drink and all that stuff, but it's not for my religion. I did it for my brother. I don't drink because of my brother. That's the only thing I decide and I wanted to pursue and continue with. That's who I am. I don't judge people if they drink. I don't do none of that. Like, I go out with my friends when they whatever, you know, get a drink. My wife drinks, whatever, you know. But as long as you're doing responsibility, that's all I care about. And I always go to make sure they doing responsible things. I don't know why. I just don't want to see that happen to anybody. I really don't, you know. So I go. I was like, yeah, sure. I never go out. I've been in this, you know, deep dark moment, just kind of nothing, you know. So I'm like, okay, yeah, man, sure, whatever, you know. And hang out, like, not talking to a lot of people. I just like, it's awkward for me, you know. I was like, I'm just going because I'm going with my teammate. Like, I look up to him. I want to, like, whatever, you know. He's my teammate. It's all I have. And after he introduced us to his friends, which is my girl was in that group, and we started talking, and then she wanted to drive, and I saw her drink all day. I was like, oh, I mean the 2 hours I was in there, I was like, no, you're not driving, and I had no license, no nothing, and I was like, you're not doing it, like. So I took her key and I drove them to whatever they wanted. So they like continued the party going. So I made sure I go with them and like not make sure nobody drives. So next thing I know, it's 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's going on?
Oh, we can keep going. We'll just use these two.
So I was like, what's going on? 6 a.m. So she was like, hey, you can crash into my place and stay here, and I'll drive you back home to whatever tomorrow. And I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. So I met there, and then somehow, I don't know how exactly it went into, it was like we got each other's numbers, and she thought I had like a car.
Right.
I had all this. I was 26. I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
And like, that's when I realized like things were different, because when we started talking, it was Ramadan. That's when I fast all day and can't eat until night. So she would come in at night and we'd go eat like a pho or something, whatever it is. But the biggest thing for her was to go do stuff outside. Like, hey, you want to go to the park? I'm like, park? What are you talking about? I'm not going to park, no play, no game. Like, what are you talking about? And for me to realize after years pass by, to see where the hole I was at, and then she got me out to kind of just like slowly be coming out and out and out, nice and slow, and I kind of get it out. I'm grateful for that, and like I can't thank her enough for that. I want to say, and then all the people that were supporting me and really to the hard time and really making me understand life in a better way and like realize the bad as well, not just the good and the great, you know. It's like understanding it. That was the satisfaction about it all, you know. It's like, hey, like everything does happen for a reason. I don't know why it had to be my brother, but I miss him.
For sure.
I can't imagine what I can be doing with him right now. You know, he'll be a famous soccer player right now. I know that for sure. But yeah, man, it's a blessing in disguise, and I can't wait to prove him and my family like that. All the hard work it will pay off, and for me and my family and everybody that's with me, you know, and especially for my brother. This is for him.
Yeah, no, that's dope, bro. I just like I can't commend you enough for opening up, and in terms of like the hard work paying off, bro. The hard work's already paid off. Like for you to be able to come from where you said like not even sleeping in a bed till 9 years old, to come to another country and just get it out the mud and be a UFC fighter. If you don't do another thing professionally, like, and I know you will, right? But you're already you're already on the underdog Mount Rushmore, so to speak. And then the most important stuff, You know what I mean? Because like this whole thing isn't about just achieving in athletics or even achieving financially. It's about living the best life you can. And for you to, like an underdog, the definition is a competitor that is assumed to have no chance at winning a fight. And here we are talking about you as a UFC fighter, but the ultimate fight of your life was being able to like see your brother pass and lose his life at such a presage age and overcome like suicidal thoughts, and to be this healthy whole person, not just to survive that, but get to the point where you're thriving and get to a point where you can talk about it and open up, and somebody's going to watch this and that's going to help them. You know, so like the hard work is already showing off, and I'm just grateful that this has been a vehicle for you to tell your story. That's what this is about, celebrating the story of underdogs, and I know underdogs everywhere are going to be encouraged. Before we leave, I need you to sign.
I got you.
You got to sign the wall here with the gold marker.
All right, let's do
It's
it.
big time, man. We got some big time names.
Let's do it.
There.
Let's
yes,
do
sir.
it.
Appreciate it, big dog. Yeah, we up. Appreciate it, dog.
Thank you, man.
That's a wrap.
Appreciate it, bro.
Yes, sir. That was dope, bro.
Underrated, we the underdogs, underestimated, yeah. Underrated.
Hey, Underdog fam, thank you so much for tapping in. Now, do me a favor, man. Subscribe, like, comment, share, do all the things. And until next time, keep fighting.